Hey, Cowboys fans, Cowboy Nation, what's good? You are now rocking with the best. You see these two faces on the screen. That's Jussie Holly. I'm Ro Parrish. It's Bleav in Cowboys. Man, it's been a crazy summer thus far. Not a lot going on as we await training camp, which is right around the corner. But until then, we got to break some things down for you. We've already talked about who the best quarterbacks are that the Cowboys are going to face. Now it's time for the pass catchers. But before we dive into that, man, Jussie, what's good? Like, what's been happening in the world? Anything new going on? What's good?
Man, life is life, and as always, you're the one. You had the amazing experience. You're the one that saw a historical. It has taken the internet by storm. It has taken the music industry by storm. You were in person at the whole show. The 30th and 25th anniversary of two of his classic albums in Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, I've just been chilling. I've been laying low, man, just trying to keep it under the radar. But you were in the building and experiencing history at its finest. Yeah. So you tell us what's up.
You know what? You're right. I was in the building and I didn't get to go to all three shows. I only got to go to one, but I'll tell you, like I've told everyone else who's asked me the question, the best concert that I've ever been to. And if anybody knows me, they know that I'm very intricate when it comes to music and dissecting things. And I've been to a million shows. I've been seeing Hov perform live since the Hard Knock Life tour in '99 when it came to Dallas at Reunion Arena. And I've pretty much been to any time he's had a tour, I've seen the show. But this concert here, the magnitude, the gravity of it, being in Yankee Stadium, being the fact he hasn't really performed in about a decade and bringing out the artists that he brought out, it was just a moment that you really had to be there to experience. It was amazing.
Yeah, I saw things online and it was I can only imagine. Like you felt it was palpable through online, through, you know what I'm saying, through social media to hear the lyrics. And then, like I said, the people throughout the entire weekend who you brought. You're talking about the greats, Nas and Eminem, out there. Of course, Beyonce is out there donning the stage, and Alicia Keys, and there was, another one of the albums he had, my favorite rapper, Jadakiss was out there. Fat Joe was out. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. Slick Rick. I mean, you talk about the greats, the GOATs of the game, the rap game. And so, Hov being at the top of that list for a lot of people, to have that, historic moment. It was to watch it online. Of course, we are of a certain age that, that's the music that we grew up on. So those albums are the albums that was the story of our younger days. You know what I'm saying? Our younger days, and now we play it as classics now. So just to hear it all and to see the production, and that's one thing that if you know anything about Jay-Z and heck, even his wife Beyonce, it's the production level. It is going to be masterful, right? It's not going to just be no run of the mill, just throw something up there and let me come out here. Nah, Hov is one of those last of a dying breed where he's like, I don't need no track over I know the words, right? And to talk about to have those two albums and to go through those two albums. And you heard him say it several times, play what you want. I know all my lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Play need no track over mine. Play whatever song you want. I know my lyrics. And of course, about Hov, the foundation. This is the dude who don't write his rhymes down, who goes in the booth just off the top. So to be able to remember 25 and 30-year-old songs is, that alone is remarkable.
Yeah, no, it is. And a lot of people watched online, and that part that you talk about, that you mentioned, that came in the encore of the first concert, and the lights went off, and I'm just like, okay, something. It was like if you're watching a Marvel movie, you stick around to see the credits, and next thing you know, I'm looking, I see a piano being rolled out. I'm like, okay, all right. So Alicia Keys came out and they did like a 25 minute encore performance. And then he just looked back to Guru, his legendary engineer, was just like, play whatever you want. And Guru just started playing like literally whatever. And Hov was like on point saying the rhymes. So yeah.
That's dope. Legendary, man. Legendary.
And I know this is a Cowboys themed podcast, so we don't want to get too off track, but shouts out to Christian Parker, the new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Christian Parker, I was already very high on this young man, him coming in, the accolades, the players that he's been able to have under his tutelage and convert them from rookies into Pro Bowl, all pro caliber players, become a Super Bowl champion. He might be the biggest fan when it comes to Jay-Z that I know. I thought I really was a big Ho fan, but he is a huge Ho fan. We got to chop it up at the concert. We took a picture. You know, I like the young man a lot more, and I already liked him a whole bunch. You know, hey, there ain't gonna be no bitter beer face memes of the defensive coordinator this year on this here podcast. I'm gonna say that right now. Please Bleav. Okay.
Y'all damn near Christians now. Y'all damn near Christians now, bro. Like for real. Like
hey man. Hey, Christian Parker is a real one. I think I'd mentioned on this podcast we ran into each other at the World Cup just randomly by chance. He was in the Jerry Jones suite. I was in the Mark Cuban suite. Walked out, just happened to brush by each other. He looked at me. I looked at him. It was kind of like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
We dapped up, and we've been, you know, locked in since. So I'm not trying to say he's my best friend. I know you being funny, but Christian Parker, he's solid. Very, very excited about what he's going to do when it comes to the X's and O's and schematically and all that. We'll jump into all that later, but he was in the building and he's a real one.
And this is our today's subject is a great segue into what Christian Parker is going to have to prepare and defend against all season long as the Cowboys get ready to take on this season, because today we're talking about and giving our list of the top 10 wide receivers that the Cowboys will have to face this year based on the schedule that is out for the Dallas Cowboys. So Christian Parker, this is going to be your debut. You're going to have to stop. And this list got a couple monsters on there now. This list ain't no. This list, at least my list. My list got a couple monsters on here that Christian Parker may be, you know, he might not. He might have to tap into that inner hole when he's in there. He's gonna have to be like, hold on, let me get in here, you know, and make sure that I'm ready for what we got going on. You know what I mean? Right.
Now he's definitely gonna have his work cut out for him. I mean, we know that he's already done it at a very high level, whether him being in Denver or him being in Philadelphia, even going back to when he was in Green Bay. I didn't even know that he was at Texas A&M too. We had a conversation. He was at A&M, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. When it comes down to it, he knows what he's doing when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, especially when it comes to defensive backs. So, yeah, wide receivers, we're going to have our top 10 of the top 10 wideouts that the Cowboys are going to face. So we'll go. How you want to do it? You want to go back to back, or you want to go to how you want to start this thing? Because I'm gonna leave it up to you to start it, because you are our local wide receiver aficionado. Yeah. So you got to start this thing off. You let us know how you want to do it.
Let's go back to back. Let's go back to back. Let's do that. Let's go back to back. We'll go from 10-1, or you want to go from
10-1?
10-1.
10-1.
Here we go. Yeah. So for the Cowboys this season, they got a couple. The Cowboys' schedule, when you look at their schedule, they have and not a cakewalk. They have one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, and it's going to be some work for these guys defensively. You're talking about Savone Rebel and Deron Bland, and of course, you know, the young stud and Caleb Downs coming in, Jalen Thompson playing safety. Like that secondary unit, which is Christian Parker's specialty, that's his baby, right? Like, that's how he's cut his teeth in this league. What he did with DBs in the secondary game. So that's going to be pivotal in the Cowboys having success, because boy, last year it was this secondary was they were Rite Aid. They were Walgreens. They were any team that came in here and needed to get right. Their offense and their passing game needed to get right. And you know, most notably, we remember, you know, Russell Wilson comes in here. We later found out that he had a grade 2 hamstring pull, and he was getting treatment at the Mavericks facility, and he came in and he threw for 400 yards, you know, against this secondary, and guys were running butt naked all over the field. And so Christian Parker coming in, he has his hands full with this list of receivers. So for number 10 for me, I go to the Baltimore Ravens, and I go with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is another one of those guys, small guys, route runners, very shifty, can play inside, can play outside. Of course, you're always keying in on Lamar Jackson and King Henry back there. So you're trying to create and bring more guys to the box to stop that two-headed beast in Lamar Jackson and King Henry. And that's when you have Zay Flowers back there routing you up. So for number 10 for me, I got Zay Flowers.
Very nice. Love how you started the list. And again, we don't discuss any of these things before we come on air. Maybe we should, because I have Zay Flowers at number 10 as well. A dynamic player when it comes to it. We know he's shifty. He's the clear go-to pass catcher for the Baltimore Ravens. And, we know that when Lamar Jackson has a brand new offensive coordinator, usually good things are going to happen. The last 2 times it's happened, he's become an MVP in the process. Is he going to have that playoff success? That remains to be seen, but this is not the quarterback conversation. Look at last week's podcast when we talk about quarterbacks. But yeah, Zay Flowers for me comes in at number 10.
And Zay is also in a contract here. So he's one of those guys. Zay's in a contract here. George Pickens is in a contract here. So it's a couple guys that you look at and you be like, oh, yeah. There's an extra little bit of seasoning put on that season when it's my turn to get paid. And sometimes it's not about what you deserve. It's about what you negotiate and if you're the next man up. So we already seen that number go up from what it was a couple of years ago. You might say, well, he's not better than CeeDee, he's not better than so-and-so. Rightfully so, but he's the next one up. He's in that group of guys who are the next group that are up to get paid. He, like I said, and George Pickens. So, look for Zay to really try to go off this season. All right, number 9 for me, he came on really strong. The two schools debate which school is kind of wide receiver you. It's Ohio State and it's LSU. He came on strong, and then he's kind of like tailed off a little bit, but I still look at him as a really good football player and a really good wide receiver. And if he can get his quarterback to stay on track for the entire year. At number 9, I got Brian Thomas Jr. Out of Jacksonville coming in at number 9 for me.
All right. All good. Coming at number 9 for me is somebody that I'm anxious to see what happens, because he no longer has the running mate that he once had with him on the outside. I'm talking about Philadelphia's own Devontae Smith, because we know that he can play. I mean, I go back to the national championship game to where he had something crazy like 200 yards and then got hurt and had to come out, and that was in the first half. So he's always been a baller. The last wideout that we saw that actually went out well, other than Travis Hunter, but flat out wide receiver that was a Heisman Trophy winner, translates to the NFL, can make plays, is not the big, strong receiver, but I still feel like he has a lot to prove. But since we haven't seen it yet, to me, he falls on this list. So I put him on my list at number 9.
All right, that's cool. Number 8 for me, I've always been a fan of this dude. He's becoming a little bit on his tail end career. He's a surefire Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Whenever he decides to shut it down in 5 years, he's absolutely going to the Hall of Fame. This past season, due to injury, he did not reach the mark that he had reached in the last 10 previous seasons of 1,000 yards or more. At number 8 for me, I have Mike Evans. Mike Evans is number 8 for me. He's no longer in Tampa. He's in San Francisco now. And so we'll see how he works in that Kyle Shanahan offense with Brock Purdy, that timing offense, that key offense, and they're looking for another guy to be a pass catcher right there. So I got number 8. I got Mike Evans.
Mike Evans, that's an interesting take. I really hated to see that he got hurt in Tampa Bay. I'm interested to see how this translates going to a new team. He and Jerry Rice had those dual records, the only 2 players in NFL history to have those consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards. We remember what happened when Jerry Rice changed teams. He was able to continue that greatness playing for the Raiders. I mean, hell, he played deep for the, for the Seattle Seahawks and still was making plays.
42.
Yeah, man.
42. Jerry was 42, still routing jokers up out there.
Man, I am not as high on Mike Evans. Mike Evans does not make my top 10 this time just because of coming off injury and going to a new team. I'm not sure that he's going to be the same player. Obviously, Father Time is undefeated. He does not make my top 10. My next on the list is Brian Thomas. You mentioned him. We know he's explosive vertical threat. And, he's going to have Travis Hunter on the opposite side and some more offensive threats. So I have Brian Thomas coming in next on my list at number 8.
All right, at number 7 for me, it's another oldie but goodie. Another oldie but goodie.
Okay.
This is still one of the dudes right now who I still Bleav DBs, young and old, still respect him at the line of scrimmage. Still come to the line of scrimmage and go, boy, I got to be on my A game, because he may not have the burners he once had to run by me. He's a really good route runner, but where he made his money at was at the line of scrimmage. And it was very few that were able to stay in front of him. His off-the-line releases, his line of scrimmage releases, chef kiss. I put him in the conversation with guys like Amari Cooper, with guys like Ocho Cinco, Stevie Johnson. Like, those are the type of guys who I look at as like, Antonio Brown. When you talk about dudes who you just could not stay in front of at the line of scrimmage, at number 7 for me, Davante Adams. Rams receiver Davante Adams is the guy I look at the line of scrimmage who's still getting it done. He's in LA. He's kind of played second fiddle to another young and up-and-coming star in LA, but Davante Adams still make the list for me.
It's crazy. In your description as you were going, I was listening, and I just knew you were about to say Cooper Kupp. So veteran receiver, shifty still. So you threw me off for a second, but I'm not mad at Davante Adams. Mr. Taco Bell, Mr. 1 yard line touchdown. I respected him coming in there.
That Taco Bell out there right now. They got that explosive stuff happening on Taco Bells. Davante might want to shut that one down in his house for a little bit to make sure, his guts is right for training camp.
Hey, you're right. At number 7, we saw him last season go up against the Cowboys on a Monday Night Football game. His starting quarterback was missing. Give me, from the Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr., because we know that he is continuing to ascend, starting to really figure it out. You can see that the gears are starting to shift and he's starting to come into his own. I think that he's going to be even more dangerous than ever this season. Now, I know this quarterback situation isn't exactly the best. I don't know if Jacoby Brissett's going to be there or they're going to bring in somebody else. Either way, he's still a hell of a talent that's going to give any defensive coordinator trouble.
Yeah, if it's not going to be Jacoby Brissett, it may be the rookie from Miami who they drafted this year.
Carson
Beck, and see how that go. Oddly enough, Marvin Harrison Jr. did not make my top 10 list. When you go back to Marvin, he's kind of actually been a disappointment. And I always have to preface this by saying to Big Marvin Sr., I say this respectfully. I don't want you to watch this and come for your boy Jay Holly. I say all of this. I say all of this, Big Marv, respectfully. You know what I'm saying? But coming out of Ohio State, everyone thought that Marvin Harrison Jr. was like the second coming of Randy Moss. And maybe it's the quarterback position. Maybe it's what they got going on in Arizona, but I feel like he hadn't lived that. Now, of course, he goes against the Cowboys last year, and he looks like the player that we all thought he was going to be throughout the season. But leading up to that game, he kind of hadn't been that. He had the drops, had the yips a little bit, and it was some things that was going on with him in Arizona. And so I would love to see him to take that turn. I mean, he made Deron Bland look like he was on an N1 mixtape down in the goal line, put him on his tush, you know what I'm saying, in the end zone. But, a lot of teams got right against the Cowboys at every level last year, especially in that secondary. But, yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. did not make my top 10 list. So, interesting. We have some of the same people that we look at differently on this list. But let's get to number 6. Number 6 on my list. I look at this guy, man, as one of the Mr. Consistencies. Like, no matter what, he's going to show up every single week. What he's going to be able to do, no matter who the quarterback is, whether it's a rookie or a second-year guy. And he's been in this league for a long time. Again, that battle between Ohio State and LSU, who has the best receivers and all this kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of him. This is another guy who is one of those route technicians. He specializes in getting open. can make the big plays, makes the big catches, and when he's healthy, he's actually, to me, one of the best receivers, in the league. Hopefully his quarterback has a bounce back year. He had a really good rookie season, fell off his sophomore year. If his quarterback can get back right, he can have an explosive season. At number 6, I got scary Terry McLaurin.
That Ohio State theme continues. Well, you said Ohio State, and you said it goes back and forth between them and LSU. Who is wide receiver U? So I know he's coming off injury. Malik Neighbors, who is easily a top 3 talent when healthy. He's not healthy, so I had to drop him down a little bit. However, we'll see what happens when he works his way back. You talk about Russell Wilson and, him being 85 years old and having injury problems and still throwing. The wide receiver that was catching the majority of those passes that day was Malik Neighbors. We've seen him on the field, what he's able to do. I don't know what's going on with the knee, multiple procedures on the knee in this offseason. I hope that he's able to get back to what we're used to seeing, but I put him outside the top 5 only because of injury.
Okay. I respect that. All right, number 5 for me, this is kind of a quiet assassin, mainly because he plays on a team. Again, quarterback is up and down. It's been had up and down, and their team overall, they get applauded because of what they do defensively. But this dude, man, is another one of them cats that just it's difficult to stop, man. I think he's a dog, and when he's healthy, he's definitely another one of those out there. At number 5 for me, I got Nico Collins, Houston Texans wide receiver. Nico Collins.
Nico Collins is good. This is where our lists are probably going to get truncated and be a little bit similar, because at number 5, I got Scary Terry coming in. We know that he's dangerous. The chemistry with Jaden Daniels is off the chain. And, of course, we know what he's able to do when healthy. And I'll just go ahead and put it out here. We'll go at flip-flop. I got Nico as my number 4 coming in. So we're getting to where our lists are going to be possibly similar as we get closer to the top. So go ahead.
I looked at this guy. You had him on your list. You had him down a lot further than I did. I love this guy's game. And of course, he comes down, like, if there's 1A, 1B, or a 1 and a 2, I think I've loved this guy's game. Small in stature, but this dude is just, his hands are great. His routes are great. He is small, but he is a dog, man. I've been a fan of his for a long time. Number 4 for me is Devontae Smith out of Philadelphia.
Wow. I have him that high.
Yeah, I have him a lot higher, and on this list than you do. But man, like, Devontae is a dog, man. When you cut up the film and you watch him work. He's not as big or as strong as AJ Brown was, but you talk about a joker. And part of the reason also, and I don't want to. I know Eagle fans will be in here like, it's part of because of his quarterback, but I mean, Devontae put jokers in the spin cycle a lot. When you cut on that film and you studying for the Philadelphia Eagles and you're watching them, you're like, woof, thank God this quarterback can't read the field like you want him to read, or throw the ball all across the field, because Devontae is open a lot. And so he now moves into that number 1 spot now that AJ Brown has moved to New England. We'll see what happens, but I think Devontae Smith will fare very well.
Yeah, we're gonna see about that. So next for me, what number are we at? I got lost right there. We're at 4 right now. No. Right.
Yeah, you said you're 4 coming out the gate.
4 already. Yeah, I said 4 already. Yeah, so you're 4. So
we'll get back to me. So come back to me for 3.
Yeah.
All right. So number 3 for me, I didn't necessarily tag him as much as you did for the injury, because I said that they may not play him at the beginning of the year, but they're going to definitely have to see him at the end of the year. And maybe I might be wrong, but if he's healthy, he's a headache. He's been a headache, and they had to deal with him. I didn't knock Malik Neighbors down that far due to injury, and not knowing. I'm like, well, even with the second procedure, he's probably not going to be ready for week 1. But, of course, in this division, the Cowboys and Giants play twice a year, and they're going to have to play Malik Neighbors for the next 6 to 8 years, in New York. I'm again, another one of the guys who I'm a big fan of in Malik Neighbors. So I have Malik Neighbors at number 3.
Number 3 for me is someone that you had a little bit lower on your list. I know he's a little bit older, but Devontae Adams still gets it done for me, especially when it comes to being on the 1-yard line or inside the 5 in that red zone. We know who Matt Stafford is going to be looking for. Shouts out to all the fantasy geeks out there that love to get those numbers. You know that you can plug him in and you're going to get some points, but still, even at his advanced age, he's still playing at an extremely high level. And, the Rams are going all in. And, you have another wideout on the other side. I'll just go ahead and give it away. He's next on my list at number 2. So when you have that combination, that just might be easy. Well, I won't say easily, but arguably the most difficult task the Cowboys are going to have. And we get to see that coming up, baby, in the preseason and in training camp. Mark it down, August 9th. I'm going to be out in the west side, a.k.a. the best side. You might be there too. We're going to be there for that.
I will be there, yeah. And I think our top 2 are the same because I have number 2. I have Puka Nacua at number 2. And, when you add Puka Nacua and you add Devontae Adams, of course, the quarterback, Matthew Stafford, but, the puppet master of this all is the best play caller in all of football right now, and that's Sean McVay. I mean, Sean McVay is he is head of the class when it comes to play calling. Of course, you still have the Andy Reid's of the world, and you have the Kyle Shanahans and the LaFleurs and, my boy in Chicago. And so there are a number of great play callers across this league. But make no mistake about it, Sean McVay is the head of the class. He's the leader in that. So, man, he gets those 2 dudes open. And Puka is another one of these guys. We talked about Zay Flowers, George Pickens. Puka Nacua is next up for the bag. So Puka Nacua is next up for the bag. And he's probably, when you look at it right now, and probably we got here, but our number 1 is going to be the guy who leads in contract money. Puka is probably going to top him next year. Not because people can say he's better, he's not better. That's an argument you're willing to have, but Puka's next up. So he'll probably be the guy who gets the most money at the wide receiver position next year because he's the next one up, and he's going to want $1 more than number 1 on both of our lists. I assume is going to be Seattle Seahawks wide receiver, another Ohio State wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba is number 1 on my list as the top 10 wide receivers that the Cowboys will face this year. 44% of the passing offense of that Seattle Seahawks team came through Jackson Smith-Njigba. No one really, if I had to ask you, who's the number 2 wide receiver in Seattle? Don't know. People don't know. And that says a lot about JSN because it's one thing to be a number 1. It's a whole other thing to be a number 1 and kind of have a so-so quarterback. Sam Darnold's okay. He's above average, but he's not in the elite conversation of quarterbacks. You don't have a highly touted number 2 on the side. You had a decent running game last year with Kenneth Walker Jr., who's now in Kansas City, but you did add in the backup running back. I'm sorry. What running back did they get? They brought in their running back. Was it the backup running back at Notre Dame? I think it was
Seattle.
Yeah,
Seattle. They have what? Sham Peng.
I thought they brought in somebody else offseason, but anyway, their running game. So a lot of the attention is on Jackson Smith-Njigba, and for him to still go out there and have the year that he had, I mean, just a outright baller. I think he had 1,700 yards receiving this year, and to do that, and everyone knows that you're the main target, and you still specialize in getting open. Dude, that's right there. They give you that stank face when you watch Jackson Smith-Njigba get out there and get to work.
Yeah, I agree when it comes to who's number 1 on our list. And when we did our list of quarterbacks, if I remember correctly, I don't think Sam Darnold was in the top 8 or top 9 of either of our lists. He might have made your list, and I don't think he made mine. Don't quote me, but either way, he doesn't have a quarterback that is viewed around the league as someone that's in the top tier class. Even though he just came off winning a Super Bowl, people say they still need to see more. We don't know who. Well, we know who Cooper Kupp's on the other side, and you have a plethora of different other pass catchers. However, they're not guys to where it's like you look at someone like the LA Rams where you have two distinguished players. You know, you go to the Niners to where you'll have a George Kittle to go along with the Mike Evans and whoever else. So when you look at it, he's the number one guy, the primary threat. And he's still able to go out there and put up numbers, get open, make plays, score touchdowns, and look good while he does it. So no question, he's number one, and he's paid handsomely as the top guy.
Yeah, and I'll go honorable mention for me. One of the guys, and this is this is pushing my agenda because this is the guy who I'm an absolute fan of. I was looking at this list and I was like, man, he had a great rookie season. Mike Evans went down with the injury, and Chris Godwin was coming back. He ended up with just under 1,000 yards, like 960 something. So like one of the guys who I had an honorable mention for, and I spoke very highly of him through the draft process a year ago, was Emeka Egbuka, Tampa Bay's another guy,
Ohio State
receiver, another Ohio State receiver, Emeka Egbuka. I was toward the bottom of that list. I was trying to find ways to get Emeka Egbuka on that list, but I think, without a shadow of a doubt, if the Cowboys have to play Tampa Bay next year, I do believe that Emeka will definitely be on this list, and he might even be pretty high on this list. So we'll see what happens this year as he and Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Bucks, take on their season. But Emeka Egbuka is definitely one of those names that people should keep an ear out for because he came on the scene last year and he had a really good run. He had a couple of weeks where he was like leading the league in receiving yards as a rookie. And like I said, he finished just under 1,000 yards in his rookie campaign. So we'll see what he's able to do when he comes back next year. But that was one of the honorable mention guys that I did not get on the list.
Fair. Now, we'll just have a quick moment when it comes to Ohio State because I think we got about 4 guys from the Ohio State, and you can make the argument that the best talent isn't even in the league yet in Jeremiah Smith. So, but I mean, and then you have Carnell Tate that's coming into the league this year. I'm interested to see what he does in Tennessee. But I mean, Ohio State, I mean, we mentioned Marvin Harrison, JSN, Garrett Wilson. They don't play the Cowboys, but clearly he's a top talent in the league. Remember Chris Olave, and then going back to Santonio Holmes and Michael Jenkins and Ted Ginn Jr. and David Boston and Terry Glenn, Joey Galloway, Chris Carter. The list goes on and on when it goes down when talking about the Ohio State and their pass catchers.
Terry McLaurin.
I'm tripping.
He's another. That's what I'm saying. Like the list is that list is so deep. Like you look at me like another one. You know what I'm saying? And then at some point in time, all these cats were like, a lot of these they were bunched together. It was kind of like how they left the school was like these 3 were there, these 3 were there. Okay, he goes to the league. These 3 are there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah. And like you said, and the greatest of thee might be the guy that's there will be a bunch of teams this year, that will be tanking for Jeremiah.
Oh,
there
yeah.
A bunch of teams tanking for Jeremiah. If Jeremiah was eligible to come out of the draft this year, he would have been the number 1 or number 2 pick in this draft. So he is that young fella is special. And so if he can stay healthy and with saying that quarterback at Ohio State, and they have one of the best rosters money can buy in college football. You know how that is now with the NIL deals. Jeremiah Smith is worth every dollar. He's worth every Ohio State alumni dollar they can give him.
Man, and the way it's set up with Ohio State, I mean, you could make the argument it might be more lucrative for him to stay at Ohio State and instead of coming to the NFL, but we don't need to get into those numbers.
Yeah.
Man, hey, so it is Bleav in Cowboys. Excuse me. Again, presented to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Ro Parrish, Jussie Holly giving you the best pass catchers, focusing on wideouts the Cowboys will face this season. So before we get out of here, of course, shouts out to FanDuel that always holds us down. We talked about everything as far as opponent goes, but the one number that we're looking at this year as far as passing yards, receiving yards, offensively for the Dallas Cowboys, the question is passing yards. Will that go over 4,500 passing yards, or will he be under this upcoming season? Jesse Holly, my resident offensive expert, over or under 4,050 passing yards.
I mean, and I know what his top total has been in his career, but I just think this year, easy. I mean, you're talking about I think 2,700 yards easily between his two wide receivers. There's 2,700 right there, and that's not even. I think that's 2,700 yards between CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and that's not even them having like a big year. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think each of them, the number, the floor is 1,000. And they just played an average 17-game season, 1,000 yards. Again, CeeDee Lamb had over 1,100 yards last year, and he missed 4 games, right? Like, George Pickens had 1,400 plus yards last year. So I just think that there's 2,700 receiving yards between those two, right? And then if you add Ryan Flournoy, if he takes his total up another couple hundred yards, there's another 600 to 800 yards there, right? And then now the tight ends are adding to this group. There's another, 1,000 or so yards between that group. So between the tight end group and the 2 wide receivers, I mean, you're looking at, there's 3,600 yards right there. You add Flournoy with another 700 to 800 yards. Well, there's 44. I mean, like this could be one of those years where Dak can have those numbers where it's 35, 40 touchdowns. It's close to 5,000 yards receiving, especially if you add Jadon Blue getting into that mix. He find his football life going the right direction. Well, there's another 300 or 400 yards in the receiving game from the running back. So this could be one of those years where Dak really easily 4,050 yards. I think he could easily eclipse that this year, the talent that he has.
All right, so you're going over on that one clearly. Now, coming down to CeeDee Lamb, we know all the talk is about GP3 and what's he going to get and playing under the tag. And, of course, that just became official just a couple of days ago. He will be playing under the franchise tag because no extension was reached. So the number for CeeDee Lamb is 1,200 receiving yards, over or under?
Over. Easy. Again, I just told you he had over 1,100 yards last year and he missed 4 games. I mean, there are a couple of games where if he doesn't have the drops, he'd had over 200 yards in that game, right? I think he had, there's a couple games he may have had, and I mean, hell, in the Philadelphia game alone, he probably had 125 yards worth of drops. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple of games he probably, and I think is overall uncharacteristic of CD. There was probably 400 yards worth of. We talk about like you caught it and fell. It's a 50-yard gain. There's probably 400 yards worth of drops when you look at the number collectively from CeeDee Lamb last year alone. And again, he missed 4 games for what, please, Brian Schottenheimer, if you're watching this, no more CeeDee Lamb running back stuff. Please, don't hand him the ball anymore. Like, let's send Cavante, send someone else. There's no more handing the ball off to CeeDee Lamb from the running back, like he's coming downhill like he's Jahmyr Gibbs. Please, no more. He missed 4 games because you wanted to hand him the football and he got his ankle rolled up. But yeah, so like the 1,200 number, like I said, 1,100, and he missed 4 games, and he probably had anywhere between 300 to 400 yards in drops that he had last year. So he eliminates half of those, and he's already eclipsed the number that we're talking about this year. And I this is not me saying I spoke to CD, but there is a competitor in everybody, and I don't care how much he enjoys playing with George Pickens or how much they're boys. And there's always been an unspoken competitive rule in football. We can be the best of boys, but I want to go out there and eat. I want to go out there and I want to finish as the best. And so don't think for 1 second. This is not me pitting the two together, right? Like they're not doing this. But don't think that he don't hear everyone saying it's George Pickens, it's George Pickens, it's George Pickens. He's like, I want my boy to get his money, but I'm gonna let y'all know. I'm gonna let y'all know again that I already did a 1,400 yard season. I did a 1,700 yard season. I've been doing this. This ain't new to me. I've got 5 Pro Bowls under my belt already. They paid me. Like this conversation about like, yeah, George is being elevated and George is going to do well, and I want George to do well. But also, I'm gonna stay healthy this year, and I'm gonna show y'all that there's a reason why I wear the double eights out there, and the reason why they look at me the way that they do each and every week. So yeah, shout out to CDE and shout out to George Pickens, but 1,200 for CeeDee Lamb, I think that's not difficult at all.
There it is, Jesse Holly saying it right there. CeeDee Lamb going over 1,200 yards, Dak going over 4,000 passing yards this season. Of course, shouts out to FanDuel Sportsbook, always looking out for us, always holding us down. Well, it is Bleav in Cowboys. We appreciate you again for listening, liking, and subscribing. The top 10 pass catchers that the Cowboys will face. A lot of Ohio State players in there, man. Woo! It's going to be a hell of a season.
Shout out to Brian Hartline, who recruited and coached all those games in Ohio State. Shout out to Brian Hartline.
Right. Who was a bad boy on the field himself. Right. All right, man. Well, hey, time to get up out of here and leave the people with some good words.
Yeah, here we go, man. If you're persistent, you'll get it. If you're consistent, you will keep it. And if you're grateful, you will attract more of it. And always remember, eliminate the contingencies.
Hey, he said it best. Love, respect, and salute.